It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Carbon Express,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Hunting Sense,
Killer Food Plots, Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Limb Walker Turkey Calls,
Antler Action,
Family Tradition Tree Stands,
and Twisted Mind Bowstrings. And don't forget you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin. We got the window open.
It's warm in here, dude.
Man, you came in, you started disrobing here.
Yeah, it was like...
Turn the heat off, man.
Man, it gets 50 degrees in Michigan. You know what happens.
That's right, shorts and T-shirt.
That's right.
It's not like those people in Florida, man. When it gets down to 60, they put their winter coats on.
I know. Start bundling up, and it's
right. That's funny stuff, man. But good weekend?
Yeah. Celebrated some birthdays. It was good.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. Gotta like that.
You were up north?
Yes, I was. I was up north, and
we had good weather.
We had beautiful weather yesterday up north.
Yesterday and today.
Had some things that were concerning to me, but we kind of knew that going in up there.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that in the last half of the show, because the first half we've got a special guest.
We do.
And who is that?
You know what? It's warming up. I know some people do the hard water thing, and they all talk about it. But we got a special guest, Lance Valentine, Walleye 101 himself, on the phone with us. Lance, are you there?
I am here.
You are here.
Right.
And he is actually coming back on his way back from Grand Rapids, the fishing show that was found out it was the last of the shows.
Right.
Show season's over. He's happy.
That only means fishing season's ready.
Yeah. I'm happy. I'm happy to be done with, I shouldn't say that, because I really do enjoy the show season, but it does get to be a grind. We've been in 7 states and 1 province this year since the first week of January. So it does get to be a grind, and I do enjoy it, but man, it is nice to be over and start thinking about going fishing.
It's time to put a hook in the water, right?
Time to put a hook in the water.
Getting close. Getting really close.
For the show, how was the attendance?
Actually, honestly, attendance was way down. Michigan State played basketball 2 of the, in prime time, 2 of the 4 days.
Okay.
The weather is fantastic. Fishing is good. Lake Erie's on fire. Saginaw Bay's on fire. The Grand River right outside the DeVos Center where we had the show was loaded with boats. I think it was just too nice of a weekend, too early. It's really, really nice. Guys want to get outside, and when we have good weather like this, it really hurts attendance here.
Absolutely. That's with every show that we've noticed that we do as well.
Yeah.
If it's nice out, attendance is going to be a little low.
Yeah. Everybody's been cooped up all winter. It's been cold.
That's a true statement there. That's for sure. But Lance, you're getting ready to. It's getting warmed up here. Where are we heading? Where are we going? We're going to do some fishing.
Yeah, well, I start on the Detroit River first week of April, and I'm down there until the week after Mother's Day. I come home the Sunday after Mother's Day, and then I get 2 or 3 days off, and I head up to Saginaw Bay. But right now, I am absolutely fired up about this year on the Detroit River. Estimates are somewhere in the 90 to 95 million mark as far as walleyes in Lake Erie, and a high percentage of those fish come up the river to spawn, and not just to spawn, but come up the river early this time of year to feed and find a place to spawn. They'll spawn, and then the further upriver they go in the initial push that they have, the longer they stay in that river, and those post-spawn fish will stay in that river sometimes till June, and lay their eggs and find good places to eat. The river's loaded with food, and they'll stay in that river till June, and fishing is just absolutely fantastic. And this year we should have just an enormous run of fish, not just the resident fish that live in Detroit, but we should have a huge number of fish coming from Lake Erie to make that Detroit River jig bite just an absolute bomb this year.
So you're saying that the jig bite is going to be the way to go? Because that's one of the questions I was asked jigging, or what's your best way and method of getting your walleye?
Well, I vertical jig. I don't hand line. I don't do any of that stuff. When I fish the river, I jig. I enjoy it. That's what my customers want to do. They enjoy doing it. It's fun for me to teach it. You got a rod in your hand. I do a ton of trolling over the course of the year, and it's fun to have one stretch of the season where you actually got a fishing rod in your hand. You're actually, feeling those fish bite. And, one of the things I like about vertical jigging is the tougher the weather gets, the tougher the bite gets, the more the guys who are good at it, kind of come to the surface. And it's fun to have days when, I'm still a little competitive, and it's nice when a lot of the boats are catching 6, 7, 8 fish, and, your group comes in with 15 or 20, just because your boat control is a little more precise, and, you're doing things. So that's part of it too. But I think having that rod in your hand, feeling that little bit of difference in your jig, setting that hook and feeling that rod load right up is the best part of jig fishing.
Oh, that's awesome. When you get a bunch of boats out there, I think it's kind of fun when you get, I know you like to be the boat out there catching all the fish, but when everybody else around you is catching fish, it makes for a great time for everybody out on the water.
Yeah, and that's, we try to do that. Obviously, we fish in crowds. You just can't help it. It is what it is. And, you're fishing around boats, and as long as everybody's happy and knows how to control their boat, and we're laughing, and, you see guys throwing jigs back and forth because the guy doesn't have the right color. You see guys throwing bodies back and forth. It is. It's a very, very social fishing, especially when everybody's catching fish. It's nice to be in a group when, the fish are just going all over because, number one, everybody's happy, right? There's nobody who's not happy when the rod's bent over. So everybody's happy. Those days, usually the weather is usually halfway nice, right? It's not, blowing 100 and raining sideways usually on those days. So, yeah, it's fun to get out there, be in a group, and everybody catching fish and having a good time. Now, on the other hand, it is very frustrating to be in a pack of boats, everybody's catching them, you're not. So,
does
it's
that
better to be in a pack of boats and everybody catching them.
Does that have to do a lot with color? What you're using color wise? You might just be a shade
I would tell you no, Dan. I'm an absolute zero color guy. I like bright jig heads and dark colored bodies, and I really don't care if it's purple or black or brown or dark green. I'm not a big color guy at all. I believe 3 things on the river, right? Fish where the fish are.
Yeah,
and that goes. That's everywhere, right? Be where the fish are. Have your line completely vertical and be able to feel your jig hit the bottom. If you can do those 3 things, you're going to catch them. Your jig color, the way the jig looks, the body you're using, the color of the body. That's going to be a small piece of it. But a whole lot less than those 3 things.
Right. Now, what jig are you what are you tipping your jigs with?
Well, we designed a jig about 11 years ago specifically for fishing on heavy current, pointed nose. We worked really hard at getting the weight the right place so it doesn't spin. And the fish is heavy, so it actually fishes like it weighs more than it actually does. We tip with plastics. I haven't used, this is going to be, I've been guiding full time in Detroit River since 2004, and this is going to be the 10th year that I won't buy any live bait. So we tip with plastics. We have a line of Lance Valentine Signature Series plastics that we have designed with big bite baits. And I will tell you this, we carry 4 basic shapes in our boat. And I will tell you that is more, you talked about color. It's more important every day to get the right shape than it is to get the right color. You're better off to have the right profile in the wrong color than you are to have the right color in the wrong profile. So carrying a couple different styles of bodies, make sure everybody in the boat fishes with something different to start the day. And then once you start getting 2 or 3 fish on something, then you can start switching over to that body style and then start working on what the best color is. But worry about getting that lure profile, lure shape. Fall rate is important. Each body has a fall rate. They either fall fast or slow back to the bottom. That's important. And each bait style or plastic style has its own fall angle. Some fall straight down. Some actually fall back into the current, back towards the fish. So getting that profile, fall rate, and fall angle right is much more important every day than getting the color right.
Right, exactly. So you're talking profile over color. Excellent.
Yep.
Now,
absolutely.
Is there a when you're jigging like that, is there a type of line that is better than another line to use?
Yeah, I use a no stretch braided line. Sunline SX1 braid is my line of choice. But Fireline's a great line. Power Pro's a great line. Anything 2 things you want very very low diameter, very low stretch, and high visibility. Those 3 things are absolutely critical in the line. So 12-pound braid like I use is the same diameter as 6-pound Fireline. So we used to fish a lot of 6 and 8-pound Fireline. This 12-pound braid. You know, you can go like 15-pound Power Pro, just thin diameter.
Thin diameter. Okay.
No, thin diameter. Yeah, the thinner the diameter is the more it's going to cut the current, right? You get too thick of a line, the current will actually catch it and kind of bow it up, and it'll be hard to feel your jig on the bottom. So you want very thin diameter. Yep, no stretch and high visibility. You get those three things in a line, you got what you need for jigging the Detroit River.
Ah, I see. That's the magic to get in the Detroit River, huh?
Anytime you're fishing in current, you've got to be able to feel your jig hit the bottom, and no stretch. Stretch, very, very thin line helps do that.
What is like the current in the Detroit River is in miles per hour? How fast is that moving?
Yeah, you know, it's really hard to tell, but, you know, if you just turn your boat off and drift downstream with your GPS, which isn't a 100% accurate current speed, but, you know, we're somewhere around 1 to 2.1, 2.2. You know, I would tell you most places you're consistently in that 1.3, 1.5, 1.6 range, somewhere in that low ones is where you are. And if, you know, obviously the water gets up and you get some wind, you know, you get some extra runoff, you can get up around, you know, a little over 2 miles an hour, but you're dealing with that middle ones most of the time is kind of where you're at.
Oh, okay.
And that's still pretty good current. That's still a pretty good current. You know, the St. Clair River obviously is a little faster, but the Detroit River, you know, definitely has some current, and it's one of the challenges of fishing the Detroit River is dealing with that current and, you know, keeping your jig vertical, being able to feel the bottom. That current definitely makes it a challenge to fish down there until you really kind of figure out what you're doing, and then it's pretty easy once you kind of get the boat control down and get the right equipment.
That's awesome. All right, you know what? We're stepping up on our first break. Stay with us, Lance. We'll be back after this break, and we'll talk more Walleye 101.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, everybody. Second segment of the show. Dan had to lead the charge on the first side because I was busy chasing audio problems.
Yes, you were. And you know what? It's okay because Lance is still driving.
That's good.
And he's, in the first segment, he told us about the profile and not so much color, but it's better profile. He talked about the line to use. There is one question. Okay, first question is, Lance, if anybody wants to get a hold of you, how do we do that?
Yeah. Best way is to send us an email, walleye101info, I-N-F-O, so walleye101info@gmail.com. That is by far the best way because I've got a couple of guys that watch that and they kind of filter through it and they know a lot of the answers and we can get to you a whole lot quicker than a text message or a Facebook Messenger is the worst way. A phone call is absolutely this time of year not going to get answered. I can promise you that. Both either my cell phone or the office, neither one of those are going to get answered. I can guarantee you that.
Okay.
Facebook Messenger is the second worst way. Text is bad. Email me, walleye101info@gmail.com. We'll get back to you in a day or two.
Good old email is the best way to go. Another question I have from a viewer out there, is rod size important?
Boy, that's an awesome question. Yes, it absolutely is. We've been doing this Detroit River fishing thing for going on close to 30 years now, and tried a lot of different things. And I would tell you, without question, a short, stiff spinning rod is the way to do this.
Spinning rod. Okay, that was the other question was bait caster, spinning rod. So short rod with a spinning.
Yep. guys like the bait caster because they got the flip and switch and all that. The problem with the bait caster is it always wants to flip over to the bottom. So you're constantly fighting rolling it up, and it gets tiring over the course of a 5, 6, 7 hour day, 3-4 days in a row. Your wrist is just shot from trying to roll that bait caster back over. So I like spinning gear. We designed a spinning rod for a company called Denali a couple of years ago. It's 5.5 foot, medium heavy, designed specifically for vertical jigging. Now, I like the really heavy because when you're jig fishing, right, your jig is just going up and down in the water column. So you want to be able to feel, a fish isn't going to really bite like he does when you cast a lure. So all you're going to feel on the river when you're vertical jigging is your jig is just going to feel different. If you've got a long, soft action rod, that fish has to load that rod up before you feel anything. You want that short, stiff action rod, so anything that happens to that jig on the fall or on the lift, you feel a little bit of a electric pulse through the rod because it's stiff. You go ahead and set the hook, you got a lot more fish. And the 5.5 foot keeps the line close to the boat, which is important for making sure that you're staying vertical. The further the rod gets away from the boat, the less you can actually look right straight down the line and see that you're vertical. And being vertical is one of the absolute key things to catching fish when you're vertical jigging on heavy current.
That's awesome. And what kind of rod was that again?
It's Denali, Denali. Denali rods. They came to me a couple years ago and said, "Hey, we want to build a series of walleye rods. It's called the Myriad series, and I think we got 8 or 9 walleye application specific rods in that line, and I designed the 5.5 foot medium heavy jigging rod specifically for vertical jigging and heavy current."
Now we got up on the screen as we're talking. We got some fish that you've probably caught and you're displaying. Now one of these is just an absolute hog that you got out there. You said that was the one we're going to put up on the screen next. The one that's coming up right now. You said that was 12.5 pounds. What's the typical weight for walleye that you see down in the river as opposed to the Saginaw Bay? I'm hearing a lot of things about the Saginaw River and the bay that the walleye aren't as they're just under the size and they're catching a lot of those. But these that you're showing here in the river are huge.
Yeah, typically, over the course of our season, right, first week of April through the third week of May, the average size fish on a Detroit River is going to vary year to year from 3 pounds to 5 pounds, right? We catch a ton of 2 to 8 pound fish every year. That's just kind of the deal. You'll get days you get on a nice little pot of 5, 6 pounders, and that's all you catch. And the next day you may get on a nice little pot of 2.5 pounders, and that's a catch. And but the beauty of Detroit from right now until really the end of May, and one of the things that guys don't spend enough time doing in Detroit is they leave the river way too early. They think the quote unquote run is over the middle of April, and we catch more fish and just as many big fish in May than we ever do in April. So I would tell guys, encourage them, don't stop coming to Detroit. First week, second week, third week of May, there are still a ton of fish in that river. And the beauty of Detroit is every time you get a bite on your jig and you set the hook, it's a legitimate chance that fish is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 pounds. Those fish are in there, and they're in there in good numbers. Some of the best numbers in the country for 10-pound plus fish happen in April and May in Detroit River. So with the average size fish, most days we've got a basket of 15, 20 fish that are 18 to 26 inches with 3 or 4 thrown in that are around 29, 30, 31. That's a pretty typical day on the river, most days.
That's awesome. Makes you want to get out there and do some fishing, especially when you can catch fish like that.
No kidding.
That ain't no potato chip.
Right.
That's a bag of potato chips. I tell you,
it's a whole bag. You're right.
I tell you what, that is just awesome. And then, So that's his work side. But you were on Facebook and we noticed something about him. That he actually went to Western Michigan.
Yeah, Western Michigan University.
And
I did.
So what did you go to school for?
I was actually an accounting major with a minor in marketing. So.
And you end up on the river.
He was accounting his fish.
When you think about it, though, good anglers keep good records, pay attention to detail, watch what's happening.
Right.
And that's the same thing that, you kind of learn when you're learning accounting. And then marketing people are kind of free thinkers, and they kind of try to maybe do something different and create excitement. And that's part of being a fishing guide, too. So they sound a little different, right? And what a lot of people don't understand I don't want to pull the curtain back too far on the Wizard of Oz, but
don't do that.
What people really don't understand is what I do, right? I make my living teaching fishing. I consider myself a professional angler. I make my living teaching fishing. And what people have to understand to do what I do, I'm not a tournament fisherman, to do what I do to make a living at it, the amount of fish you actually catch has really very little to do with making a living in this business. My job is to help other people catch more fish. It's to get the right tackle. It's to teach them the basics of fishing, to teach them how to use their sonar. That's what I do. And every, it definitely no longer matters in my world what I catch. It's totally wrong what I catch. My job now is to make sure that other people catch fish. And you talk to people who make a living in the business, and I got this advice early, they will tell you, if you want to make a living fishing, you make sure that you can make a living off the water, because you can never guarantee what happens on the water. So people have to understand that, a lot of this is marketing. A lot of what I do is sales. A lot of it is promotion. A lot of it is those types of things. And that's how you become a full-time professional angler, is that much more than being a Kevin Van Dam. There's a lot of guys who can do a good promotion job. There's very few guys who can fish like Kevin Van Dam. So unless you're a super fantastic fisherman, and I was not. I was a very poor tournament fisherman. I was not a good tournament fisherman, but I consider myself a good educator and a good fishing guide, and those are completely different things than being a tournament fisherman.
See?
Wow.
See?
It's more than just throwing a line.
That's right.
And
that's right. A lot more, because if that's all there was to it, I could do it, and I can't.
And speaking of that, you mentioned something about some upcoming weekends that you're going to be having when people come out with their boats.
Yeah, back in 2002, we've been doing seminars for a while, and the guys wanted a way to get on the water and actually kind of test what they had learned, and we came up with what we call the Fishing Education Weekend. And it's a 4-day weekend. Guys come in on Thursday. We do a little bit of fishing, but we do some hands-on workshops, boat rigging, tackle rigging, going through your boats, making sure you got the right tackle. We do a seminar on Thursday night. We all eat dinner together. We talk about what's going to happen. We get together Friday for breakfast, have a fishing meeting. Here's where you should go. Here's what you should do. Let's try this. Everybody communicates on the water through VHF radio or group text message while sharing fishing information on the water. We get together at night, a couple more workshops. We have dinner. We have a seminar. Then we get back again Saturday morning. So we're spending 4 days together with everybody, myself and my staff, doing hardcore seminars and workshops, and all the other guys taking all the information and sharing what they're finding out on the water with the other guys that are there, the other attendees, so everybody can catch more fish and, more importantly, get better. We call them Fishing Education Weekends. This year we have 3: Houghton Lake in early June, Saginaw Bay in early July, and then our traditional one we do every year is the first week of November down on Lake Erie in Huron, Ohio, looking for trophy fish. So if guys want to learn a specific technique, right, Houghton Lake is going to be fishing for walleye in the weeds. Saginaw Bay is going to be trolling spoons and crankbaits. And then the fall trip is always, targeting big fish with crankbaits in cold water. All those techniques we teach at these fishing education weekends. It's a great way to come, meet new people, learn a ton, and get a chance to take what you learn onto the water right away, so you can make sure that you're learning it exactly the way you should learn it, so you can take it with you on the boat every time you go out fishing after that.
There you go. If you want to learn how to fish and catch some big fish that you've seen on the show.
Different conditions, different places, different,
need to
tackle, the whole 9 yards.
You can go spend 4 days.
Absolutely.
Go spend 4 days with Lance, and you might be able to catch one just like one of those pictures.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know about me. I don't think I can catch one like that. I'm not that kind of fisherman. I'm the guy that drowns worms.
Right? And he doesn't even use meat.
That's funny.
I don't. I like I said, I'm 10th year on Detroit. I won't buy minnows. I'm on my 11th year. Saginaw Bay and Lake Erie that I have not used a call. I've not had a collar in my boat in 11 years.
Wow.
No worm guts, so to speak, on his boat.
No worm guts.
So that would be good for the ladies.
Nice.
Ladies don't like to touch the worms and put minnows on a hook, so, this would be right up their alley, right? Do you have a lot of women that come to you and learn?
I don't have enough. I think that's a place where we are failing. Because I think a lot of females want to go fishing, they want to learn. But I think what happens is they're either afraid to ask their boyfriend or husband, or I see a lot of boyfriends and husbands that give their significant others crappy equipment, kind of discourage them, yell at them. Don't really make them part of it. Always make them feel like it's a problem that they're there. And I really think that's something that we need to address, because that's a group of people who want to learn how to fish. We just haven't given them an opportunity. And there are some groups. There's a big group in Wisconsin, Barb Carey and Hannah Stonehouse. If you guys got women that would like to be involved, have them look at Barb Carey and Hannah Stonehouse in Wisconsin. They've got a women's fishing group in Wisconsin. Okay. And they take a couple trips like those 4-day fishing weekends we do. They take 2 or 3 of those every year just with the girls. And I think it's a spot that we have definitely let the female outdoors people down by not creating opportunities for them to become better fishermen and actually get a chance to enjoy the outdoors more.
Well, we've seen that across the hunting industry as well, and now that's slowly turning, and we're seeing more young people and more women take up the sport in the outdoors. Yep. So that'd be awesome if we could get it on the fishing side as well.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I believe that's something we have to get better at.
Okay, all right. So, ladies, there you go. He says that he can take you out there and show you.
Don't let your significant other give you the wrong equipment
or a cold shoulder and say you can't go,
because you might catch a bigger fish than they did.
Right.
And we have a lot of women. We have a couple dozen husband and wife groups that come on our trips. And, actually it's funny. I just married this summer. I just officiated a wedding for a young couple who actually met on one of our 4-day weekends. They each came with their father, didn't know each other. The fathers knew each other through work. They ended up fishing in the same boat together for 4 days. That was 9 years ago. And this summer they asked me to officiate their wedding, so that was kind of neat to see that thing come full circle.
Match made on the boat.
Talk about getting hooked.
See, you're not only going to learn how to fish, you just might meet the love of your life at one of our trips.
Talk about getting hooked.
That's good. That's good, Danny. I'll give you that one. That's good.
When they pull out, when you come in at the end of the charter, they hang them all up on the rack.
Yeah.
They're there. They're both there.
Oh,
there you go.
Good stuff. Well, once again, if somebody wants to take one of your schools, how do they get a hold of you?
Walleye101info@gmail.com is our email, or they can go, if they're interested in one of those trips, they can go to walleye101.com and click on the Fishing Education Weekend link. And if they're interested in booking a charter, they can go to lancevalentine.com and click on our charter link and get our calendar and sign up right online, or find out our charter email there and send us an email and let us know what they want to do, and we'd be more than happy to get them out. And our charters are all hands-on, right? Our whole goal is you leave there not just with a cooler full of fish. We have a saying, it's not about dead walleye. We want you to leave there with, number one, a good experience, number two, a fun time, but number three, we want you to leave a charter with more fishing skills than you had when you got there. So we answer questions. We want you to ask, what are you looking at in the sonar? How do you use your GPS? What kind of rod do I need for this? Why are we moving? Why are we doing that? And we do that. We talk through the process and let people know what we're thinking and why we're moving and why we're changing baits and why we're doing what we're doing, so they can actually take that 5-hour experience and actually learn something and take it to their boat and become better anglers next time that they're on the water.
He wants to make it an educational experience.
So it's not just a charter go out catch fish. I mean, you're basically going to school once again.
Yeah, if you want a charter to just sit on a cooler and reel in fish, let me know. I'll be more than happy to find you somebody else. Don't come with me. That's not what we do, right? I consider every charter trip a day of fishing with 3 or 4 of my buddies, and that's how I approach it, right? We're gonna rib each other. We're gonna tease each other. We're gonna have fun. I'm gonna find out about your family. We're just gonna have a good time fishing and catch a bunch of fish, and it's gonna be an experience more than a fishing trip. And I think that's really important, because what happens sometimes is you make it all about dead walleye. If you say, limit catches all the time, and the limit is 20 and you catch 19, people are disappointed. If you say, we're going to have a fun 5 hours, we're going to fish as hard as we can, and you're going to learn something when you're on the boat, if we don't catch any fish, we still accomplished our goals. Now, you combine the two of those, right? Really good fishing with some education, you got a fantastic trip. But we always try to focus on making sure the experience is really, really good, and the education is really, really high level, so the trip is not a waste if you get a day where the fish just aren't cooperating.
Right on.
There you go.
It's not your typical charter trip.
It's not your typical school of fish.
Oh, man. Lance, stop him. Stop him, man. He's killing me here, man.
I love it. I love it.
Maybe if we go with you, we'll chum the water with Danny.
In the Detroit River?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Right. Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what. It's been a pleasure talking with you. I'm not a fisherman, but I've learned a lot just listening to you and talking with you tonight. And, Danny, I don't know. I mean, we need to check into something like this.
I wouldn't mind going to spend a little time on the water with the Lance man.
Have to check our calendars out and see what we can do. But if anybody wants to get in touch with him, make sure you find him on Facebook, go to his website and all that. So, Lance, good luck to you this season. Hopefully we'll cross paths again here real soon. And it was a pleasure having you on tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. And I look forward. Let's talk here in the next week or two, and maybe we can get you. We'll figure out a way to get you on the boat for a trip, and we'll show you what we're really doing. You can kind of experience it firsthand.
All right. And we'll use Danny as a boat anchor.
There you go.
All right. Hey, man.
Have a great night. Thank you so much for your time. Tell your listeners thank you.
Yeah, we will. And you have safe travels back into town.
All right. Thanks, bud.
All right. Take care. All right, folks. We're going to step outside and take our next break.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, everybody.
Lance.
Yep.
Never met the guy. You met him once up at the station. Seems
Right.
like a really nice guy.
Yeah. Actually, he stopped in up at the station and did a little segment with us there on the news. So
Right, exactly. So, we'll have to keep in contact with him, see what we can do.
All right.
And then for the third segment, you were up north.
Yeah, I went up north this weekend. I left Saturday morning. Yes.
Saturday morning, bright and early, you posted a picture of the sunrise.
Yeah, I was running 75 northbound. The sun was coming up on my left-hand side. When I came home yesterday evening, it was on my left-hand side, but it was setting, unfortunately. I spent all day up at deer camp. Went up to meet some gentlemen in the area who are very successful at deer management.
They're deer managers.
Managers,
right?
yes.
They manage
habitat. They manage habitat. Yeah. They manage the herd. The whole 9 yards, and they've become very successful at this. And we had the opportunity to invite them over to our camp to take a look at our stuff.
Did you walk the property or did you drive them?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Mostly drove. Got out, walk a little, drive, walk a little, drive.
Okay.
So yeah, there was 5 of us total, and we had 3 people over that were land managers, and actually. One gentleman, as well as a land manager, was also was heavily into planning habitat.
Okay.
So we were asking questions along those lines. But basically, we said, "Hey, look, here's our property. Here's the success we've had. Here's the success we want. Here's what we're doing. Where do we go from here?"
Yep. You're asking, where do we go from here?
Yeah. We've been planting food plots. We've been doing logging. We've been doing practicing QDM here for the last 3 or 4 seasons, and this is the does we shot. Here's the bucks we shot. Yada yada
You're
yada.
trying.
Yeah.
The last 3 years you've been trying with everything that you mentioned.
So
you're trying to do. You haven't done the prescribed burn yet.
No, and don't know if we need to or not. I mean, we haven't got to that point yet. But I mean, I went and took the prescribed burn seminar. I'm getting ready to actually. I haven't even told you yet, but I am going to take QDMA's Deer Steward 101 or Deer Steward 1 class.
Yes,
online. I'm going to sign up for that this week and start that process. Just trying to educate myself as much as I can and get as much knowledge. I went to the deer health check. Up north a month ago now. No, about a month and a half ago. So doing that, we're doing a deer browse study at our camp in a couple weeks.
Yep, end of April.
So, and with that being said, this is what we found yesterday when we were walking the property. I just popped the picture up. Before I pop this picture up, if you have a weak constitution,
the contents you may see is graphic.
Yeah, it's kind of like going back to the deer health check. So, I'm giving you opportunity. You need to turn away, look away if you're on the live stream. But this is what we found on the property. We were out driving around, and we come up on one of the fields that we were going to stop at, and an eagle flew off. And then we saw a hawk in the area. We saw a bunch of crows, and we said, well, there's got to be something laying around here.
Something alive.
Yeah, and something with meat on the bone. Otherwise, the eagle wouldn't be around.
Right.
And we found this little guy here. It's sad to see these little guys laying around. And, at first thought, you thought, well, okay, probably a predator got him. But, when you start really looking at it, it's like, well, wait a minute. His legs are still attached, number one. And they're just kind of like straight out. Like, you made a good observation. You said it looked like he died on his feet.
He died on his feet, yeah.
Yeah, just, rolled right over, and that was the end of it. And upon further inspection, the people that were with us opened up the stomach.
Now this is interesting that you went into this when you found this dead deer, because you were out surveying the property. So why not? Well, you're almost going to do a health check right here.
Yeah, did a health check right here on the spot. Yeah, yep. Okay. That I said, what are you doing? Well, we are going to find out what he was eating. Okay, so got a stick, poked in the stomach, opened the stomach up, and started poking around, and I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm going to get education right here at my own camp on the ground, which I thought was very valuable. So that was that's when they were digging the contents out, and there's the hole in the stomach that they made and pull stuff up, but you can see how packed it is. That was after we poked at it several times, but it's still packed full of matter. Okay, so you're like, okay, so what's this telling us here? There's got to be something to this. Well, right here was the proof in the pudding. On the end of the stick there, you can see the material that it was basically full of white pine needles and what they called, and I did not know this. I've seen the plant a million times in the field, did not know what it was, never knew the name of it, but they called it sweet fern. And it's a woody stemmed bush, small bush with leaves on it. Of course, this time of year it doesn't.
Right.
And that was what was in the rest of the stomach. But you can actually, if you look at this picture, you can see the pine needles.
Right, exactly. And that's what this little guy was eating.
Yeah.
His stomach was full.
Full of it.
But the nutritional content was probably zero.
It says like eating gravel. It says just like eating gravel.
So he was eating just to feel full.
Right.
But dying.
Yep. They said that this time of year when the deer, when they start coming home from the wintering range, if they're in a wintering range or wherever they're at, they're hungry. They're looking for anything they can get in their stomach at this point in the year. And, our fields still have a little snow, but you can take your foot and brush the snow off. They can dig down.
Yep.
Problem is there's nothing there.
Right.
Our food plots are gone.
Your food plots were mowed.
They were mowed down, yes. Exactly.
They never had the time to get to where that snow could cover them up.
Right.
And then when it could, there would be something there.
Right.
So coming into spring here,
right.
There's nothing for them except for what they can basically walk head height and just browse on.
Right.
And you got a picture you're going to show up next, exactly that, right? You're showing the pine needles here that they're browsing on.
Yeah, you can see that the ends of this pine needles here, you can see them where they're snipped right off. They're right there in the center of the picture.
And there's probably another couple weeks to go before the new shoots, or
Well, the problem is there's really no browse on our property. The browse line is high.
Right.
There's no natural browse on the property. Here's another one. You can see where it's just chewed right down, to the stalk there, or the stick, or the branch, I should say. And I got one more here as well. And this one here, you can see where it's actually started eating the stem, part of the stem.
It'll just eat everything it can, just to feel like it's eating.
It's kind of like, like a person that's on a diet when they're hungry, they go drink water to fill their stomach so their stomach quits hurting.
Right, exactly. And like we've talked about, they tend to eat 5 pounds a day.
Yeah, 5 to 6 pounds a day. So on average.
This little guy's trying to eat 5 pounds
of junk. Now this right here that you're seeing,
what's this?
This is the sweet fern. Okay, the woody plant material. I mean, right now all it is the stalks, or the stems. There's obviously no leaves on it, but here's a close up of it, and you can see
There's no buds.
Right, yeah, they're cut right off. There's no buds on these.
This plant was taken. All the buds were gone in no time.
And there's another close up of another one. So
when you were walking, did you see deer?
Driving and walking, yeah, we saw deer. Not a lot.
Okay.
Well, not a lot on our property. And
right, exactly. No,
end.
But remember when we did that quick run through at the evening there, and we were seeing all those deer. You didn't see like that many deer.
No, not like that night.
Okay.
But getting back to this little guy here, that was a telltale sign that we don't have enough natural browse on the property. If there's natural browse there, deer would have something to eat. They'd be okay. They'd make it through the winter.
Right.
We also don't have anything on our food plots right now because they were mowed down.
Your food plots never had a chance.
So with those two things in common right there of no natural browse, a high browse line, as well as the food plots being hit hard and there's nothing there. And I brushed the snow back on mine, and I was having a hard time finding anything there.
Do you know in terms of so far the winter, has it been considered a rough winter?
No, not really. Yeah, probably average.
Average winter?
Yeah, it hasn't been terrible.
I didn't think it was, but I didn't know how much snow because you're just off the snow belt.
Right.
So, but here it is, an average, we'll call it an average winter that we think. And you've got deer starving.
Yeah, and with no browse and a high browse line, and along with the food plot, that's a telltale sign that we have too many deer on the property. They're coming in. There's not enough food. So when there's not enough food, you got too many mouths on the table.
Yep.
What happens? So
it'll be interesting to see because now that you cut some more timber, what your regen is going to be for the new year.
See, and that's the part that scares me. We talked a little bit about that this weekend up there. Is the fact, we did this fresh cut. We're going to get regen coming up. We saw it last year when we did a smaller cut.
Right. Yeah.
With so many deer on the property, what happens? And we talked about this, and this is something the land managers told us, is if we don't do something substantial, we run the risk of the deer dying off in the area eventually, and also the forest turning over to nothing but evergreens. Because what will happen is they're going to continually eat the preferred browse, the new shoots, so it never gets a chance to grow and mature into a full tree or forest. And what does get regenerated is evergreens.
Right, they'll have more pines.
The things that they don't want to eat. So
right, the things that's not nutritional for them to eat.
Right.
So, but that's a good question, and I thought about that because you were mentioning that with the regen. But if there's too many deer, the regen can't even become a regen because it never makes it there.
Right. So, do you fence it in? The one thing that was said this weekend, and it makes total sense. I mean, we know we have to take deer off the fields, but bullets are cheaper than seeds and trees.
Yep.
If you think about it that way.
Absolutely, and that's what you talked about last year, and you only took a third of your quota, right? That you wanted?
Yes. Yeah, about a third. Yeah. It just didn't work out the way we intended it to work, and we got some decisions to make. We got some things to look at, and and that's for the land manager that came over and habitat managers putting proposal together to try to help and steer in the right direction and come up with a solution to take care of this.
Got some work to do.
Yeah, and everybody says, well, everybody's got an idea. Well, I'm telling you, man, these people know what they're doing.
Their background and success rate, I think their credentials are okay.
Yeah, well, and the fact is, the main property that they manage they said was 4.6 miles from our north corner, one of our corners. Yeah, so. Yeah, same deer.
Same genetics.
Same soil type. Same forest type.
You're in the same forest.
We're dealing with all the same conditions, so.
I think one of the most important things that they said was not only do you have to make some changes, but everybody around you has got to join in too.
Yeah, we're seeing things that need to change, and part of it, the discussion was tradition and social issues are what's led to this point. Us as hunters have done this to the deer, by the way we've hunted, by the way we've managed the properties, by the way we've managed our deer herds, by the way, the baiting issues that started, years ago, those things need to be looked at and change minds.
Look at it this way, right? The baiting issue, they say, helped in the TB. But you're in a TB zone where you can shoot unlimited amount of deer, and you still have too many deer.
Right.
So something's not being done right.
Yeah. Well, one landowner alone can't cure an area. One landowner can't do that. But the thing is, you got to lead by example too.
Right. Exactly. And it's frustrating to hear that, because it's like you can shoot unlimited amount of deer because it's a TB zone.
Right.
But yeah, it's not being done.
It's not being done.
And that just...
it's not being done.
And whether it's tradition, whether it's whatever, it's like there's a reason you need to shoot, and there's a good reason why you need to shoot more does, because if you would have took a couple more does off, he might have had a little bit more food to make it, because he was a buck.
Yeah, that's a buck. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's a buck.
He might have, if you would have shot a couple more does, well, we say 5 pounds a day, right? Maybe he could have made it.
Right.
So,
well, I'll tell you what. Let's step outside. We'll take our last break. Come back. We'll continue the conversation and then kind of wrap up the weekend here. So we'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back to the last segment of the show. Been talking a little bit about what we found this weekend on the property, some deer management, habitat management.
I forgot to bring it over, but they sent me a study.
Who did?
The DNR sent me their
report for the area?
I think so. Well, not the report, but to fill out for them.
Oh, okay, a survey.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I didn't even open it. I'm wondering if it's a deer survey or a turkey survey.
Okay.
I'll have to look. If it's a deer survey, I'm going to laugh.
Well, I got in the mail this week a QDMA whitetail report for the 2018 whitetail reports that have been from, I think, last year.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
it's a year back, I think.
Yeah, so I've got that on magazine form. I got to take a look at later on. But yeah, getting back to kind of what we were talking about, and we started looking, after we found the deer, saw what it was eating, I started looking around the area, and I just showed a couple pictures of what it was, and it was all over. We started looking at all the white pine around the area, and it's like, man, everything was
getting hammered.
Yeah, everything was browsed.
And there probably wasn't a bud to be found.
Yeah, no, not really. Not on those fern, those little sweet ferns. Every one of them had been nipped off.
Yep.
So
they're just cruising through, nipping them off.
But I did put 2 trail cameras up on the carcass. I set one for video and one for pictures. So I'm hoping to see something. We'll see. The birds come back. It'd be kind of cool to see the eagle come back and see what kind of pictures and videos.
There's a lot of meat there.
Yeah, there's still enough there for them to come back. We've flushed them off, so they'll come back.
Exactly.
So yeah, I did that. Put up some other trail cameras. Found some turkey tracks. So,
you did?
Yeah. Found some turkey tracks. Put some cameras up there so I can see some typical travel routes that I normally see them on.
Okay, cool. Good.
Just starting that process of starting to think ahead to spring.
And, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday's spring.
Yeah. Well, and on the way back home last night, I left camp. It must have been 6:30-ish. And by the time I hit the county line here at home, the sun had finally set completely. Okay. It was dark. But in that drive, which probably would have been about 140 to 50 miles-ish, probably about 135 to 140 miles to the county line. Anyway, that time, if I saw one deer, I saw well over 500.
Right.
Deer were in every field I passed that had something in. Deer were in those fields, and groups of 10, 15, 20, 25. And it was every single field all the way home.
Yep, and
it was incredible.
Greg Miller posted a picture just before the show, I think it was. He posted a herd of deer out in the fields too, so it sounds like they're starting to move.
Yeah, well, and we talked about that at camp. The reason we're starting to see a few deer back onto the property, the ones we did see, was they're coming out of their wintering yards now.
Yep,
it's warm weather, and they're getting back to where their home range is.
And I don't think you had much snow.
No, actually, most places were barren. I mean, well, you saw, I don't know if you could see in the pictures if there was snow in the background
a little bit.
Not. Yeah.
But you saw mostly grasses and stuff. It wasn't snow covered.
No, not at all.
So the snow's, I'm assuming, depending on the weather, which I haven't really checked, snow should be gone.
Yeah, still had ice on the lake.
So hopefully get a little bit warmer weather, the sun get that green up, get those buds moving.
Yeah, we're still probably a month out up at our place.
We are, because
unless we get a real warm up real quick. So
it is Michigan.
Yeah, it's possible. You never know. Could snow too.
Right, exactly.
So you never know.
But it's like talking to Lance in the beginning of the show. He's heading down to the Detroit River. Spring is coming, so we know turkey season's on the way.
Yep.
Taking care of the deer coming out. I'll be interested to see how up north the property is done. The report from the forester for me was cold, not a lot of snow, but a lot of food still.
Okay, well, that's good.
Right, exactly. So
see, that's good.
I'm hoping that it didn't get overused, taxed, I guess.
Right.
And then that way the spring green up will be a little bit thicker, fuller, give them more food going into next year.
Yeah. Do you typically see a lot of browse up at your place? I mean, is there an overabundance of deer? I mean, we've had this talk. You're covered up in doe.
I'm covered up in doe.
And you can't shoot them.
And I'd like to... As we've been talking, and I've kind of been learning from what you and Anna Mitterling and everybody's doing, I'd like to get up there, and I'll probably get up there later in the spring. So I hope to do a little walk around, kind of look for those things.
Okay, right on.
It might be a little late to be up there, but I'll check it out and see what I can find.
Okay, definitely. The only other thing I got, I shot some video. Actually, what we just talked about here on the podcast, I actually show it probably in a little clear form with video, about 5 minutes long. I'm going to post that this week.
Yeah, let's post that. We'll get that out there. We'll let it's sad, but it's a condition that we need, which you're working on getting. So fixed.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's just it. We've got to do our part. And we've been talking about this for the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, kind of since I've taken this on and started pushing down this road and thinking about things. If things change, situations change, and if you don't change with it, you get left behind. You've got to make that change. Change is inevitable, and it's good. So
and the people we were talking to made an interesting statement that they looked at what you had and they said, well, it's nice if you're thinking that, but you need to make your impact now.
Right. Yeah, that was part of the other thing too.
It's nice to think down the road. Hey, I'm going to have these beautiful trees that I'm going to plant, oak trees, whatever trees you're planting, going to be fruit trees and oak trees. Oh, they're going to be beautiful, but that's down the road.
Yeah, you got to do it. You got to make an impact now.
You need to make an impact now because that's where you're at. You right there. You got deer dying, so you need to make an impact and take care of it now.
Yeah, and obviously deer die all the time in the field.
Absolutely.
It's part of nature, but the problem is when you start to see telltale signs of things, and when you, it's not just a dead deer. What was it eating? Okay, you start looking at that and look at the area. What's it eat? Is that true? Is it coming from this area? And it was all around us.
If it would have been dead with whatever foods you had around the area in its stomach, good foods, then you can say, okay, maybe it wasn't starving.
Right. It was something else.
It would be interesting to have been there kind of and did that little check they were doing at the health check with the bone marrow.
Actually, somebody I posted a picture of this on Facebook, and somebody actually said, cut that front leg, cut that femur off, and do it and see if it's gelled or if it's solid,
right.
And if it like Dr. Kroll said, if it's red and runny, then it's stressed. Yep. And I guarantee you that there's no doubt in my mind that deer was stressed.
That'd be interesting to have seen that.
Yeah,
but with that thought in mind, whatever you're going to do has to be your reward has to be quickly done.
Yeah, Right.
It's not a down the road thing. It's no, we got to do something now.
Yeah. Well, and even with, and it's like, okay, well, if you're not going to go in and plant a bunch of trees and recoup the habitat right now, why are you cutting? Well, the forests are over mature. Number one, we've got disease in the trees. Number two, and the trees that we're cutting are providing no habitat or no nutrition for the deer as it is.
Right.
We are cutting some of the softer woods that do, but those will regen. Those will provide some food. But we got to do it in moderation as well, and start thinking maybe we need to fence off some of those areas to keep the deer out, so we do get some full blown regen.
Right, not your lawnmower effect.
Right. So
they're just gonna come and lawnmower the whole area, and you won't have nothing to regen.
Right.
And every time it tries to regen, it gets mowed down, and like you said, we talked earlier, you'll have pines.
Sure.
Lots of pines.
Yep. So. Yeah, lots of decisions to be made, lots of things to think about.
It's going to be an interesting meeting for you.
It will. There's traditions that need to be overcome. There's social issues that need to be overcome. Because everybody has got in their mind. And I mean, I'm still learning. And I learned some things this weekend. I'm like, wow, I didn't think about that. That's interesting. That changes my perspective on things. When you start taking and you get all the puzzle pieces together and you start putting it together, you start to see the picture. Yep. When you start to see the picture, you start to understand.
Absolutely.
So,
when you can start on the edges,
and
you just get the edges. But when you start to fill everything in the middle, picture becomes clear.
Yep. So that's kind of the direction we're headed.
There you go.
But so, did you do anything outside this weekend besides go to Frankenmuth and eat chicken?
No.
Okay. Just wondered. It was a nice weekend. At least you got outside.
Nope.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay. All right. Anything? You going to do anything this coming week? What are we going to be doing? We got something coming up.
Oh, this weekend we're going to be down at Cabela's.
Isn't it strange? I almost forgot about that.
Really?
I was like, yeah, what are we doing? Oh, that's right. We are going to Cabela's this weekend.
This is our last event down at Cabela's we're scheduled.
For the first quarter?
For the first quarter.
Yep.
So this Saturday, Sunday, we'll be talking turkey.
Is that what we're doing again?
I think so.
Okay. All right.
I haven't been confirmed yet. But
I can't remember what we're doing.
You know what? I'll tell you Saturday morning.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right. That's good.
But we'll be down at Cabela's this Saturday, Sunday again, doing our thing.
All right.
Hope to see everybody out there. We had a good turnout last weekend.
Okay.
Come on down. I think it's Spring Outdoor Days.
Spring Outdoor Days. Yes, it is.
Number 2.
Yep. And I think we're expecting a little package coming in the mail from West Virginia this week, are we not?
We're hoping to, yeah. I'm just waiting.
Another turkey call that we've got coming from
our
Lim
sponsor, Lim Walker.
Yeah.
Tim Cius, the man himself. So as soon as we'll have that next week.
I can't wait because it's crimson.
Oh, boy.
As in Crimson Tide.
As in red.
As in crimson red, yes.
Oh, boy.
And he took a picture of it, and it's got like the streak through the slate.
Yes, it's got the vein through the slate.
I said that's the winning streak.
Oh, okay. and you were riding me about fish jokes.
Yeah, well, I got to take
at
it
least
when
I was in the outdoors.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be in the outdoors with that call. Hopefully here real soon. So
that's right. So, but no, come on down. Check us out next week. We'll be down there.
Did you check your draw?
Yes,
turkey draw.
I got it.
You got it. Good. Yeah. So you're officially hunting
first week,
which will be the 23rd.
Sounds about right.
Of April.
Yeah, it's probably be snowing.
Yeah, I hope not.
It's either going to be 75 and sunny and hot, or 35 and snow flurries.
Okay. Pop-up line or run and gun, sit in a tree. What do you got?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't know yet. I got to get out and start doing some scouting.
It's about time.
Yeah, this weather breaking kind of helps. I seen some birds in the field on my way back from Frankenmuth. So
I didn't see a bird at all yesterday.
Really?
Anywhere? No, I did not. Well, I saw birds on the deer, but I didn't see a turkey. I didn't see a turkey in the morning. I didn't see a turkey in the evening. I didn't see a turkey. Well, during the day I was on the property driving around, but
you didn't hear any.
Nope, saw tracks, but
yeah. So, but nope, we'll start our scouting here soon
and
taking our evening walks and going out and taking a listen, looking for tracks. Especially when it's going to be nicely muddy.
Okay. Well, I talked with Tim from Lim Walker, and I asked him a question about, because I went up north, put my cameras out, and part of that process was putting them where I thought birds were going to be. Natural travel corridors. And, I asked him, I said, do you use trail cams for turkey scouting? And he said, yeah, absolutely. Especially in a new area.
Okay.
Just to give some confirmation as to,
there's birds there?
Yeah, there's birds there and what's going on. So, If it's something you haven't thought about and you got your cameras laying around, get them out.
I think about it. I'm also thinking they get stolen.
Well, where you're at, but on private property, I was just getting ready to say, private property would probably be a lot safer than it would be on public land.
Right, exactly. That's the only thing I don't like about it is, I just like you said, I'd like to put some cameras out. Mm-hmm. I'd like to get some confirmation of there, but I got to look for the other stuff.
Sure, right. Yeah, just got to do it the old-fashioned way.
That's right.
Boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground in the mud.
All right. Well, is that anything else?
That's it. Till next week.
All right. Well, I tell you what, we'll wrap up the podcast here, and if you're in the area next Saturday, we'll be down, and Sunday we'll be down at Cabela's at Chesterfield, down there for the day. Actually, we're going to open the store that day. Are we not on Saturday handing out goodies?
I think they are having doorbusters.
Yeah. So if you're there, come on by, and
we'll hand you a gift
if you're one of the first few people in line.
I think 50, but I know we got to check the ad. Sometimes it's 25, sometimes it's 50.
Yeah.
Depends on what they're giving out.
Right on. So, all right, folks, that'll do it for us this week here on the podcast. And like I said, stop down and see us if you get the chance. And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Carbon Express,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Windset Hunting Scents,
Killer Food Plots, Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Limb Walker Turkey,
Antler Action,
Family Tradition Tree Stands,
and Twisted Mind Bowstrings.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.